Museum learning in a virtual setting. What you have just seen is this rifle. This is a 1903 Springfield rifle, 30-06. It was used in World War I and World War II, a very useful artifact for a teacher. And this is its bayonet. Now this is the World War I helmet of Private Townley. What's inside of it? This was designed to protect soldiers from shrapnel that first became a real problem during World War I. This is the gas mask worn by Private Townley in World War I. He must have worn it many times during the horror of trench warfare. This is the mess kit of Private Townley. As you can see, he got a little bit bored sitting in the trenches. That's probably why he did this artwork on his mess kit. This is a symbol of the 79th Infantry Division, which fought in World War I. The artifacts you've just seen would be very useful if you're teaching the history of the United States in World Wars I and II. Museum learning can be described as project learning utilizing either artifacts or hands-on exhibits. It's a great way to teach. However, what if you as a teacher don't have the time or the opportunity to use artifacts of this type? Well, the internet offers many alternatives to this. One is these virtual museums. Here you see 8 virtual museums you can get images and videos from to take the place of the artifacts. Here are some examples of images taken from virtual museums that you can teach with. You can divide your students into groups and have them create presentations using these images. Here are some examples of videos you can get from YouTube that will help you teach your students. Give them an actual take a look and see what they really like as well. You have artifacts? Well, there's plenty of alternatives available if you look for them, especially with images. You can even take a clip from a video that shows the artifact you want students to focus on. If you're not sure how to do this, Google for instructions. Easy to find. Of course, going to a museum would give you much of the same effect on students, but time constraints may not make that possible. Now, if you're teaching about the Industrial Revolution, one artifact many people have is their vehicle, like this 209 Ford Ranger. Henry Ford had a great effect on the Industrial Revolution. You can use that in much of your teaching nowadays. Before Henry Ford, only the rich could afford an automobile. Average persons couldn't do it. He made it possible. This is the internal combustion engine of this 2009 Ford Ranger. A lot of American history is based on the internal combustion engine. And in fact, the Industrial Revolution in many ways had a lot to do with it. Henry Ford started all types of assembly lines that made putting these things together easier and more affordable. You may not have access to an automobile or engines or any other machines needed to illustrate the Industrial Revolution, but these virtual museums help you find those images. Here are examples of images you can download from these virtual museums, or just about anywhere on the internet, basically. Here are examples of some of the videos you can obtain from YouTube that deal with the Industrial Revolution. Will give students a feeling of actually being there. Google for direction and you can find numerous videos from the Henry Ford Museum. You can save clips from these museums to show your students what life and machinery actually looked like in the past and today. As teachers now, there are many artifacts you can use. Some as paintings. Paintings often tell a great historical story. If you want students to use their senses in the museum atmosphere to learn and to be motivated to learn, use art in some ways. For example, here is a Lamar Dodd painting. This is a man who the Lamar Dodd School of Art at the University of Georgia is named after. A very famous artist. Here's a painting now of a 19th century young lady. You're talking about early American history. Look at the way she's dressed. Look at those eyes. That could be very important teaching your students. Painting of flowers. It's just might be used talking about farming in the past. You're teaching about American history. When better do that, talk about the United States Constitution, a famous battleship called Old Ironside. Here is a painting of it. Now, like we said earlier in this video, if you're teaching about the World Wars, well, there are many paintings that can help you learn teachings about the history of World Wars as well. Like this painting here of General John Pershing in World War I. Here's a list of virtual art museums where you can get images to share with your students. These are examples of those images. Now here's an old bucket used by a family in the 1900s. Notice it's all wood. They don't make them like this anymore. Teaching is a tough job. Of course, one thing always helps is able to use actual artifacts to teach with, or perhaps even some local collector item, like a Snow Village collection could be something that might be of use to teach with in your classes. Now, of course, as a teacher, you may not have an opportunity to obtain these. Well, there are alternatives there, and that gives us alternatives thanks to modern technology. Thank you for watching this video. I think very helpful to you. You want to motivate your students to learn? One way to do that is to use artifacts in the museum learning approach. It helps quite a bit. They can actually see, touch, and see the things they're dealing with as well. But if you don't have those, most teachers don't. The internet offers several options there. You can go to the internet and find several things you can use, several images you can use to teach with. Hope you enjoy the video. Thank you very much.